Today we're going to try and do the exhaust, suspension, and a chain drive conversion. We got the Legends on. When you're doing the suspension, make sure you jack up the bike so the bolts come out super easy. The stock suspension, I started with the bottom bolt and then took the top one out. If you have different length shocks that you're putting on, you're gonna have to readjust your jack height to get everything to line up. So you can start with the tops and then double check your jack and make sure the bottoms line up. Super easy. What I'm doing right now before putting on the sprocket and the spacer is I'm chasing the threads here. So like this is the new bolt. I've done these two so far. This thing goes in nice and easy. I haven't done these three yet, so watch when I try and put this bolt in here, it gets stuck. There's extra gunk in there, the old Loctite and stuff, so that's what I'm trying to clean out before I install everything. It's a 7/16 14. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the type of tap that I'm using to clean these out. We got the chain cut and riveted. The RK chain toolkit was really easy to use for this. Just gotta kind of set the tension a little bit, get the rear wheel aligned, torque that down, torque down the front sprocket nut and the other 2 screws that go in there, and then chain will be done, and then we can kind of close everything up and then get to putting the Bassani on. That's what I took off. It's about 15 or 16 links. I don't know how you count them necessarily, but I think it's around 15 or 16. 150 minus the 15 or 16 links, that's kind of what you need for a 24/60 tooth sprocket setup on this. I'll see what it's looking like when I pull the wheel back, see how much space I have on the chain adjusters there. So we got the front sprocket nut torqued. I originally did it to the 50 foot-pounds that the service manual says, and then it wants an additional 30 to 45 degrees. So that was my starting mark right there. That would have been 30 degrees, that would have been 45. But I got it to line up with one of the screw holes right here, and it was quite the pain to get this thing to turn even more, so that's close enough to 30. I'm just going to put these 2 screws in with some red Loctite, torque that down, and the front sprocket's done. They want you to do this in neutral, but I just put it in the highest gear possible, and then I had somebody press the brake for me and then stand behind it so it wouldn't roll backwards at all. And then the half-inch socket wasn't cutting it, so I broke out the breaker bar to give me the extra leverage to torque it. I mean, you could probably use an impact, but I don't really like doing that on tightening things, but breaker bar was what did the job for this case. So one other thing on the back here, you can see the fitment back here is very, very tight. It just clears. So I think I'm going to take this rear lower shock bolt and cut some of those threads off at the back there, give me some clearance there, because this is pretty sketchy. These are the new bolts that were supplied with the Sprocket kit. You know, I don't know if you reused OEM if it would have a better fitment or not, but you're supposed to use new stuff, so that's just one thing to keep in mind there. This is the new spacing I had to cut down the lower shock bolt by like 3 threads. So now it's pretty much flush with the side of the swing arm, so there's no fitment issues there. You will have a couple threads exposed if you don't run the belt guard, but I forgot about that when I was making the cut. So right now, that nut is perfectly flush with the end of that bolt. I've got Loctite on there, so I shouldn't be too concerned, but definitely something I'll keep an eye on and check pretty often just to make sure it stays tight and doesn't back off. Becomes an issue, I can do something with the belt guard or the chain guard, so I can get a couple more exposed threads. But the new hardware for the sprocket sticks out a little bit more than the OEM bolts, so you have much tighter of a clearance there with the shock bolt. But I'm also going to switch to a 16-inch rear wheel. Right now this is the stock 18-inch, but I found an 883 rear wheel that's a 16-inch, so I'm going to have to do a complete swap of everything down the road when that comes in. The only reason for going to the 16-inch is easier to find takeoffs from a dealership and easier to drift and stuff because you have less surface area compared to this gigantic 18-inch.
To go, I just can't stay here feeling this hole of everything ain't there. Maybe I should just be glad that I ain't dead, but I got too much on my mind pressing lately. I need to go, I just can't stay here feeling this hole of everything ain't there. Maybe I should just be glad that I ain't dead, but I got too much on my mind pressing lately. And no know I ain't like most. Sometimes I feel like I'm crazy. Always tend to be stressing about some shit that I just can't change it. I've been looking for something new, all this time that I get faded. Either all in or you're not, there really ain't no maybe. Never go how you thought it would, and they say that's just how life go. And y'all thought that I might slow down, but I've been speeding like I'm on a nitro. Can't forget all the nights though I was spending in the studio. I couldn't think of nothing, but tonight I might have hit the right zone. Yeah. Think I might just be insomnia. Bullshit, ain't no time for that. Grew up and I realized that the closet ain't where the monsters at. Done with school cause I failed the system. I told them I don't know if I'll be back. Spending time just doing me, that's where I'll be at. I need to go, I just can't stay here. Feeling this hole of everything ain't there. Maybe I should just be glad that I ain't dead. But I got too much on my mind pressing lately. I need to go, I just can't stay here. Feeling this hole of everything ain't there. Maybe I should just be glad that I ain't dead. But I got too much on my mind pressing lately. Can't be stuck on the same shit. Gotta switch it up, won't be here for long. Gotta live it up, you can leave it, this not the shit you want. I could give a fuck, I just hear a cope. I just show them what they been missing though. Listen up, lot of people dissing though. Bigger picture, gotta get the visual. Circle small, but I ain't in this alone. Hope I get it before it's too late. Too many people two-faced. Better do it in your own way. Instead of always trying to ride a new wave. I tried telling my dad, faith isn't where you at on Sunday. Know we all die one day, and no God got me on the one way. All these nights staying up late, making it happen, I'm done waiting. Been a minute since I started, but to y'all it look like I just came in. One shot like the gun race.
We're gonna get started with the install of the Bassani pipe. The first thing I'm gonna do is get the O2 sensors put on. There's two little adapters here that go into these holes, and then you just screw your O2 sensors into the adapter, or they come with plugs if you're not going to use O2 sensors. And then you use a lot of the stock hardware to mount this. Stock circlips, stock flange nuts, stock flanges. I'm going to put some anti-seize. I think I'm going to use this. This is what I used when I did the F4i. Get this light out of the way. Just a little bit on the header studs so this thing doesn't get stuck. I don't plan on removing it, but it's always a good idea. And then obviously you need new exhaust gaskets, and these are the tapered or cone shaped ones. That's what Bassani requires in the instructions. If you see here, I'll actually pan through this. And there's a little DIY tool that somebody came up with on YouTube. It's a 3/8 carriage bolt, 6 inches long, and then I believe two 1 3/4 inch washers, and then it was supposed to be 1 7/8, but the best they had was 2 inches right there. And then on the back side it's a 1.5 inch washer, and then just a nut to hold everything in place. But essentially you're able to place the gasket on like this, and that way you have even pressure when kind of pushing it up into the motor, and hopefully you don't ruin the exhaust gasket. So hopefully this works out well. So the gasket install went pretty well. This side is probably the worst out of the two. There's a little bit of like destruction up in that top corner there, but for the most part it installed pretty easily with that little DIY tool. It's flush to the motor there. The front's definitely a lot nicer looking, but I think that should be sufficient. It's definitely better than what the old gaskets look like when I took them off. So Bassani's on now. O2 sensors are plugged in. I've got everything tightened down as they should be, or at least I think so. There's 2 bolts back there to mount the muffler onto the bracket. And you got your clamp right there, and then if you can see in here, flange. That's how many threads we're rocking on. That's what it's looking like there. With the exhaust, it's supposed to be like 110 inch-pounds on the flange nuts, but even with the F4i, I just kind of cranked them down until I couldn't, do any more with the socket, just to make sure it's kind of snugged up all the way there. I'm not like cranking and cranking, I'm holding up here so I'm not getting a lot of torque on it, and then once, I can't get any more there, then I kind of stop. I don't know if I'd, ever do the flange nuts correctly. I'll check for an exhaust leak when I run it. I'm gonna wipe the pipes down and then fire her up and see how she sounds.
Hottest stash in the carpet. Yeah, we trapping out apartments. I ain't done when you start